Hey everyone, just let me know if you can hear me all right. Hey Karan, am I audible in everything? I'm just waiting on Chie. She just got back home from a long day of rehearsals and stuff. We're really looking forward to talking with Chie. I'm doing this for the first time, so please bear with me. I'm going to bring Chie in. I am just. All right, Chie.
Hello.
I got super nervous for a second. I had no idea how this was going
I
to happen
know.
and how I was going to find you. I was, because
Oh,
I'm doing this
Karan
for the
is
first
also
time.
here.
Karan is also here. There are a lot of people here. You can see them. I think we'll go over the posts.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad to be hosting today. I am in, okay, okay, let's
Nikki.
do this. Chie!
Hello from India.
Hello from Mexico.
Oh, hola amigo.
Yeah, hola, amigo. So just so everyone knows, Chie, she actually studied, she finished her graduation in English and Spanish language. And that's something I got to know just yesterday. Chia and I sat down and we spoke for exactly 3 hours, 45 minutes. And because I wanted to make sure that I had all the notes possible on Chia. Just so you all know, Chia is my band member. So I am going to be a little extra friendly and unnecessarily hilarious. Also because I'm a little nervous to be interviewing Chia. Also, I got to know a lot of things about her yesterday, which I had not known previously, and
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Um, by the way, is the playlist is playing behind me? Is that too loud or is it?
Abhi, it's not audible for me.
It's not audible? Oh, that's
Hmm.
okay then. It's kind of loud for me. So if I make it louder, it won't be. All right.
Lots of
So I
people are
just
here.
lots of people want to know a lot of things
Yay.
about you, Chie.
I
A
mean,
lot
I
of
can
things.
see my Japanese friend also.
Okay,
Yay.
great. I okay, let me quickly lay a few things down that I do know about Chie. Um, can't hear the playlist. Right. I it's playing behind me, but I think my earphones are not catching it. They're probably compressing it off. Um, Chie, you began learning the horn, and you particularly said that let's say French horn because old horn people might confuse it with, the horn, the ones that people used to have for rickshaws.
Yeah.
But you started at the age of 6
Yes.
and you studied the horn until the age of 12 when you switched to tuba.
Yes.
I'm going by my memory. Just correct me if I go wrong. And then you studied tuba for another 6 years until you reached university. And then that's when trombone happened. But by now, you not only play the horn, the tuba, trombone, you also now play the trumpet, and you're studying bansuri. And I'm just getting more and more nervous talking to you because you are just so talented and skilled and all of the above. Um, so, okay, Chie has toured Europe, conducting, managing, and playing with the orchestra, um, with the Hiromi Kasia's orchestra, right? Did I get that right?
Yes. In my high
Okay.
school.
And So she's traveled a lot. She's played. Um, she spent a year in Australia just busking, and that was an insane stuff. There's some insane stories which I'm hoping that Chie will tell us. So I'm trying to get done with the facts and all the information stuff. I don't want to bother you with that. We'll bother you with everything else. So I'm going to start bombing a lot of questions at you. Um, One is to begin with something that is extremely interesting for me personally is that you started studying music at the age of 6, and you told me that it is mandatory in Japan that everyone must study music, like academically almost.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you tell us more about it. Also, you mentioned that anime movies had a big role to play during your childhood, and tell us all about your childhood, Chie. And the playlist has some connections.
Yes.
So I'm going to leave that to you, and please go ahead and tell us
Oh,
all about it.
so good evening to all who are in India. India is 8 p.m. now, and very very late evening. Hello, people from Japan. It's 11:30, and good morning to Mexico. People from Mexico, and I'm so glad to meet you all here today. My name is Chie. I play the old instrument Nikhil just introduced, but my
So it's
primary
true.
instrument is trombone now. So as Nikhil introduced me horn player, I started my journey as a horn player at the age of 6, and it was called alt horn. Yeah, not French horn. So many people in India ask me like, how did you start your journey or something? So I tend to say alt horn, but nobody understood. So I always say French horn. Looks like this horn, but alt horn is actually like this, small tuba and
So, but
higher.
it does have keys, right?
It has piston.
Because if you Google old horn, it basically shows up one of those horns that they used to use in rickshaw. In India, we call them bhopu. Because
Oh,
it goes
I
bhopu,
didn't know.
bhopu. Yeah. So
So
that's why I was particularly trying to avoid using old horn. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so as Nikhil said, in Japan, it's a part of subjects like science, Japanese, English, um, social studies. So a part of the subject, music there. So it's mandatory for all the kids to learn what music is theoretically, and then ensemble also, execution also, how to play music with using instrument. So we have like 3 to 4 classes a week, and then it was mandatory. So few students really liked it, but honestly, half of the students were not good at music, so they didn't like the subject. Like I didn't like mathematics when I was small, something like that. But I found music was very interesting because the teacher who taught me initially in elementary school, she said, music is the tool to express yourself. So she taught me how to sing, how to play all the instrument in the class. So I had opportunity to play all the instrument from horn, trumpet, tuba, trombone, marimba, vibraphones, and the Japanese taiko, and then big drums and
Oh, so you tried
percussion,
everything out.
everything at the age of
Oh,
around 8 or 10. So she also switched the instrument in between. My major instrument was horn, but sometimes she asked me to play flute or maybe drums. So she always engaged to the students, and I really liked it. And in Japan, we have a group activity after the school, which is called bukatsu. Bu means group, katsu means activity. So that group
Bukatsu.
activity after the school, in elementary school, I chose music class. There were basketball class, swimming class, tennis, cooking class, but I chose music. And school
These were the
extra.
extracurricular. In India, we call them
Yeah,
extracurricular activities, which are
yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to be extremely boring. It's the time you can set yourself free from the classes and just get away from the world. But
Yeah,
you
so
chose music.
yeah, I chose music, and I had a concert also where I could play my music with my friends. And back then, I was a big fan of a Ghibli movie. Still, I am, but I started watching Ghibli movie at the age of 6 or 7. And one of my favorite movies called Kiki's Delivery Service. And that movie has a theme song, which is the first song on the playlist. So that
That
was the
is
first song in my life
Yumi
growing.
Arai.
Yes.
Okay.
So this song actually opened my mind and everything. Wow, music really connects people and emotions to instrument. So I used to sing this song with my sister in a um, bathtub. We used to take baths together every night, singing together, and I still can sing without seeing lyrics.
Right.
So
So I mean, the Karan just mentioned, playlist is in the bio. So while she is speaking, you can plug the playlist on another device so that you can still hear Chie, and then you can also listen to the music that she'll be pointing out.
yeah, I'm pretty sure all my generation people in Japan know this song. 小さい頃は神様がいて. So why I like this song was this movie was about small witch, the girl who is witch is exploring her life to become real witch. So in order to become real witch, she had to go to another country, and then she failed. She made so many mistakes, but at the end, all the mistakes turned into her success.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
that's
quite
exactly what it is. At the age of 6, all you want to be is a witch. That's that's how you'll end up in India.
yeah. So I'm still 6 years old, in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm even younger. But in the extra classes that you joined, you met somebody really special. You told me about Maestro Takahashi, and
Yeah.
that affected or impacted your life in a very different, in not only just the technique, the skills, the theory of music, but other aspects that you learned through music that is very evident in how you are and how you act and how you're so open with people. You're more accepting than uh, most people have actually met. And so I particularly wanted uh, everyone to hear about Maestro Takahashi and why it was different from the regular education that one receives in an institute.
So if I think about him, I still remember the days I spent with everybody with Maestro Takahashi, which was from 13 years old to 15 years old. So it was 3 years in my junior high school. And I continue my music journey by utilize that music activity class out of the subjects, like after the school time. And Maestro Takahashi, he was a public school Japanese language teacher. So he was working as a Japanese language teacher in my public high school. But after the school, he was a musician. I mean, he is a musician.
Oh,
Yeah, and he knew how to teach music. But as you said, he taught us how to connect with people, how to respect myself and how to respect others. And if you see the conflict, that is always happening because of the misunderstanding between you two, between you and everyone. So don't give up, always communicate each other. That will create something from 0 to 1. So music was a part of his lesson, which was extremely strict because he led us to the national competition level. But his belief in us made us so strong and made us believe in ourselves. And I am still in touch with him. He's my mentor. And I brought my band members, Chizai's band members. I mean, we all went to Japan in 2019. And then I wanted them to meet Maestro Takahashi because that was my root of the music. And then Mr. Takahashi said, Indians have such beautiful eyes. So, exactly. Yeah, so Maestro Takahashi played all the orchestra and singing. He showed all the performance for us Chizai members. And so he said, I'll come to India. So he's planning to come to India next year.
yeah, you sent me a video of him last night, and I actually went through the video, and it was really beautiful because it 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 seemed like he was trying to get the students to really be able to express musically, but through their body without an instrument. Is that
Yes.
right? Am I kind of getting it correct? So
Yes.
that there was more expression. It was more about expression than just about do re mi fa sol la ti do, or the charts and scorings and things like that. But you you've had a special connection with almost all your teachers, right? Like in your education, your mentor, and that has I think uh, so. I speak with a lot of musicians who um, either come from the Hindustani music tradition, and I think there is to me, there seems like a bit of a confusion between how we progress because we're kind of moving away from the tradition now. The Guru Shishya tradition is not making much sense in certain contexts, and certain places has gone terribly wrong. So India is also, for me, it seems like we're moving more and more towards understanding what are the other forms of uh, educating ourselves. We are not yet sure that if Western classical or Western uh, theory is the way for us to rescue what we're trying to save. But in your conversation, it seems like the relationship with your mentor, a teacher, has benefited you in many ways, musically and otherwise, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, definitely. Yes.
Like, can you give an example on how, like, at what point, say, you're able to use it as a guidance? What are the things that, for example, when you came to India, what were the things that helped you um,
Yeah,
open up?
that is
How did the teaching
very good
translate
question.
into what where you are now or where you've been?
Um, I came to India 2012, so it's going to be almost 10 years. And when I came to India, I denied that I am such a stupid person because I couldn't communicate with people, different culture, different language, different behaviors. I was very confident I can do it, but I couldn't do it. I was
But you
very
did.
initially. I was very
Sure.
like, yeah, I'm Japanese. Listen to me. Follow me. In my mind, something shit was going on. But so basically, what I want to say is, Maestro Takahashi used to tell us that anything happening around you is because of you. So think about if you are saying something, if you are finding the reason because of somebody, because of circumstances, because of your sickness, because of your work. That's why I cannot do. So Maestro Takahashi always lays this as question to us. Are you doing this? What exactly your heart wants? Why you're putting so much reasons on other people? What you want? So I talk to myself why I want to be in India.
And why is it? Why did you want to be in India? Chie, tell us.
I like Indian people. I like people very close, and I feel like Japan lost something, this connection between people because of the technology. But in India, I still feel this connection with people and kind of being naked in the public. Probably there will be lots of question from Indian side because there are so many restrictions in Indian culture also, I agree. But for
Right.
me,
I'm just trying to be. Did I hear you say correctly? You're saying it to be naked publicly? Is that what
like,
you said? But you meant metaphorically, of course.
yes.
Because I can tell you, I can't kiss my wife on the streets in India. I can tell you that for sure. So, no,
Yeah,
but
so
go ahead. There's
his
something
belief,
very interesting that you're saying.
his belief always popped up in my head whenever I encounter the culture difference or any conflict with people in India. Jay, is this you? Is this what you wanted to do? Or are you just doing this for being liked, being accepted? Like, do you accept yourself? Do you know what you want? That question from Mr. Maestro was always in my head, but I denied. I denied this. Kept telling myself, I'm Japanese. I know everything. Look
Also,
at
just
me.
so everybody knows, at that point, you were not actually a performing musician.
No, no, no. I was not.
You were working in an HR
Yes.
department.
I was actually
And
working in the corporate for 5 years in India.
but the stuff that Mr. Takahashi taught you, or the teachings that you learned, you changed quite some important. You made some important changes in how Japanese and Indians were viewing each other in the corporate industry. I
Yes.
really want you to, because that's, to me, that is Chie at the core, right?
Yeah.
Like you
So
made a connection between the Indians and Japanese that did not exist before.
yes, I actually started working in a Japanese farm since 2012. And the first year was into HR consultant, but from second year, I realized that so many people leaving from Japanese farm, they are Indian national because of the culture difference. So I suggested that the company, we need a training division to support Indian people so that they can find what's the difference and what's the things in common. And then they can make something new between India and Japan. So I studied the training division in 2013, and then till I left the company 2017, I was heading that department and teaching Indian about Japanese culture But after second year, that so many complaints came from Indian participants. Chie-san, we want Japanese experts to run Indian culture. Otherwise, this can't help it. So I looked all the help, and in my team, everyone worked so hard, and we made our contents for Japanese experts to run Indian culture. That's what I
Yeah.
used to do 5 years.
And then basically you would organize training sessions and stuff where how was it like? What would you make the Japanese and Indian hug each other? What was it? How did that work?
Honestly,
Or was
sometimes
it
even
like, okay,
fight was
this guy
about
is
to
an
happen.
Indian, he is not going to do the homework. Please accept it. You know what I'm pointing at? Because I'm trying to relate it with, because yesterday Chi and I were having this conversation. Um, she she mentioned she often talks about the cultural differences between Japan and India. I think that's very normal to do so. And you were you 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 were studying at Blue Notes School of Music that's run by Mr. Pranay Gurung, the great. And I'm allowed to say that because he's a friend. So, and it was a 6 months course, and that's where I want you to point out those cultural differences that you noticed as a Japanese student, along with the rest of the Indian students that you were with. And you had mentioned some interesting things that I'd like people to know.
Yeah, so I was a proper classical musician in Japan. I learned classic music and disciplines, I should say. So when I left my job, I decided to explore my life a bit more in music, and then I chose this course suggested by my friend, and then oh my god, that class! Apart from me, nobody came with homework. Nobody comes on time, and then I was so upset. Oh, but after a few times of the class, I realized if we do the ensembles with those members, they picked up the rhythmic motifs and melodical motifs, and then they have very nice ear, so they play solo improvisation like pop 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 pop. And I was like, I have done all the homework, but I am the worst solist in the team. Why? So that was my next eye opening as music, like one of my music journey, like turning point, I should say, improvisation.
Right. Okay,
So
I want to get it. I want to get a little bit into it, a little more. I'm going to poke my finger into it a bit, um, because these are things that I think a lot about personally. I'm always thinking about these things, and I don't always have answers. So I'm going to put that responsibility and blame on you by asking you that. Um, so, for example, say, I mean, how you're saying that so the other students would not do their homework and they would not arrive on time, and they were, maybe it's safe to say that they were less organized than you are, and but you always had your homework, you were always there prepared and ready. And I know, I mean, personally, I've known you, and you can work 23 hours a day. I've seen you do that. Just last night you got just 1 hour sleep because you had to show up for a recording, or so on, so on, so on. And so I am yet to conclude if these are cultural differences or what kind of differences. But what I want to ask you is, say, if you know how you're saying that these students were not organized or were not disciplined, but when it was time for the exam, or at the final step, they would churn out uh, what they needed to do. But
yes,
uh, but I think the other side that they might already have. What is the benefit of what they don't have, which is what, say, you bring to the table, which is how important it is, and what difference does it make then if you are showing up on time and you're prepared for, you'll be like, sir, I'm here for the job. And the rest of them like, yeah, take it easy. Like, so, I mean, I want you to point the differences out because you have that perspective.
Hmm. Probably you're right. I think this is not related to much about nationalities, but being on time and coming with preparation. If I do this because I like music, if I do this because I'm afraid of making mistakes, there is a huge difference in between. And I found Indian people who used to take the class with me, they are all my friends now. They like music more than making mistakes. And I was prepared. I was on time, but I was more afraid of making mistakes. So when I started doing ensemble work with them, Pranesa told me, you come with preparation, play solo, whatever you prepared, and keep playing that solo because you can. And then if you keep playing that solo many times on the stage, you'll be able to play solo freely one day. But come with your preparation and try. So eventually, he also told everybody that come with preparation. And then I could see myself, oh, if I come with preparation, I have some space to observe other musicians. I have some, what should I say? I have some calm atmosphere within myself that I can hear myself clearly. So then I realized my strengths. Oh, if I come with my preparation, this happens. So I think people got inspired by my behaviors in ensemble class. And I got so much inspired by my friends that I do like music. I should be proud of that. They told us this. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
I think so. I've asked you the same question so many times that I'm trying to figure out the differences in your answer, which they're not much because you're true to yourself and therefore you know what you feel and um, but you may, I know that you quietly watch everything happen around you and you don't judge anything, which is beautiful. And that's, I think, something that I personally uh, is a big takeaway from our relationship together or the time that we've spent. Um, but this brings me to an interesting thing that further I'm going to bother you about is the matter of improvising on the stage. I once, thanks to an old friend who used to play with Anushka Shankar, I'm a fan, and I don't feel shy to say it because she's an enormously she's a great musician to me. And one day I happened to be on the same dinner table as her, and a friend of mine was asking her a few questions, and so she said something very similar to what you just said. And I think Pranay probably was trying to say something similar. Is that for improvising, she said that first Pandit Ravi Shankar told her that repeat the same solo until you're so confident that you can move away from it. But you first have to find your ground and then improvise. Now, this is a conversation I find myself debating very often in, and be it any part of the world. You spent way more than a decade studying Western classical music. Um, in 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 India, we specify Western classical music because then we have Indian classical music and we have so. But I've realized over the rest of the world, people just say classical music for what it is. Um, but if you've a lot of people have that question. If you've had that background, is it not possible or very difficult to get into the space of improvising? A lot of musicians have that question, and I'd like you to address it, mentioning the fact that because something that I realized talking with you was it's not that if you've been trained in classical music, you are divorced from performing or you are not permitted to perform in a jazz setting. Because, for example, in big band orchestras, the jazz big band, um, if you've had a classical training, that comes in very handy. Now, I just want you to correct me if I'm wrong or right. Just put some light on this.
So your question is,
My question is classical approach. How do you approach improvisation if you've studied classical?
I think the biggest thing I was able to enhance as my skill is because when I was in the orchestra, so firstly I was in the brass band, and then I shifted to orchestra in my high school, and then I shifted to big band jazz in my university. So I had opportunity to play with brass band, orchestra, big band jazz. So I had to always listen to other instrument. So even though someone is playing pianissimo, which is a very less volume, I was always paying attention that player, so that sometimes maybe she will play very high pitch by mistake, but my part comes later, which is written already. So I need to accommodate with them. I need to, though we were taught like we have to be very precise for the pitch and harmony, but
Right.
I was always enjoying ensemble, doing ensemble with people.
Right.
So that beauty that trained my ear and trained my skills, ensemble skills, and probably it helps me to improvise when I play with other people. I need to listen other people also. So Pranesa told me, good solo, 30% is because of solist, 70% is because of backings. Not only him, many people told me this.
Yeah, blame it on the rhythm section. I'm all for it. It's not that my dancing is bad. No, sorry for the joke, but yeah, please carry on. You were saying.
Yesterday I told you that when I was in orchestra, I had to read the score, like what violin plays, what cello plays, what oboe plays. So I was paying attention for other musicians. That is my what should I say, gift, which was given my school life. But
Okay, so I'm just going to interrupt just very quickly. So it doesn't just for me to understand, you don't mean that. So because I think that a lot of the time one ends up thinking is that if you're playing classical music and you're only reading scores, this is your, uh, what's that word when you say you're like the horse? Like you're basically just focused on your score, but you're saying it's not like that. You're very aware of what's happening around you.
exactly.
You have to be careful of dynamics of the rest of the musicians playing
Yeah,
around you. So it's not that you're just sort of going that left, right, left, right, left, right. But
exactly. So Maestro Takahashi taught us very interesting. He's a maestro. He's supposed to do like this with the orchestra, give us the count. But sometimes he doesn't do this. He just do this. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So he was trying to motivate us to express ourselves, but in order to do that, we had to feel the tempo. We had to listen other people, and then we need to know what we want to play. So he was a magician. Like he does everything. He sometimes does like this, and then like this. Then that gives us so many um, emotions also.
So it keeps
And
you
then,
involved
yeah,
and less mechanical, right?
less mechanical. We should be sometimes mechanical to be not mechanical.
That's it. Now you're right there. You have to
Yeah,
say a little more about that now. As a
yeah.
musician, you're saying that you have to be you say it, please. I'm going to mess it up. I want you to repeat that.
If I forgot what I said.
That's the thing. You see, Chie comes up with great quotes and then she forgets what it was. I actually have one written down yesterday. You said, I was always looking for an answer and
Oh
you found it
yes,
through music.
yeah.
But I think going back to what you were just saying is that you were saying you have to be mechanical to be non-mechanical, right? That's what you said?
Right.
Elaborate, por favor.
So yeah, in order to become not mechanical, we should know what mechanical is. We should know what it is. So I hate mathematics when I was small, but by the time I understood mathematics has one answer, but how to reach this answer, we have options sometimes. So I believe that all the answers inside of me, but how to approach this answer within myself is up to me. All the options are with me, but I'm just cutting it off because of my ego, because of the society, because of my past experience, breakups, and like parents, pressure from family. But these options are very important, that you can be flexible. So that I think I relate to this very much into music. If you are if you know that you have already so many options, you can be precise. You can be true to what you want to be.
Right. Now, with Mr. Takahashi, there is a connection with one of the songs that you have in the playlist.
Oh
And
yes.
you had asked me to remind you that that song is very, very special to you. And um, something that I have picked from you, or one of the things that I've learned with you, is that music is not just technical, like you mentioned about problems one has with their family, ego, and a whole lot of other baggages psychologically that we carry. Um, there is a big connection with music, and that's something that Maestro Takahashi implanted those teachings, and then this. I'm trying to point at the song, and you wanted to talk about it.
Okay. So yeah, we were talking about playlist for Sunday track. Um, so what I updated on Bollyjazz Academy Spotify account, it starts from my childhood favorite song, and then it has a few songs which I used to listen in my college days, and then I literally went to the concert and I covered completely what they play and enjoying doing that. And then if you go down, the end of the song is "We Are the World." So why I chose this song as a final song of the set list is because Maestro Takahashi taught um, us um, express your feeling in front of somebody so that you come out from your comfort zone and then you see who you are. So he asked all of the students, it doesn't matter if we are in the music activity class or not, all the students, everybody had to come to the gymnastics field, and he asked us to sing, "We are the world, we are the children." And that line, everyone had to sing. Everyone. If someone was not singing, he just do like this. Why you are not singing? And then he stamped like this, like
To
sing.
get them into the rhythm and get them
Yeah.
to
So
feel.
like you have
Right.
to get out from your comfort zone. So singing was the tool for him to just let them come out from the comfort zone. Let us come out. So I chose the Cindy Lauper line, I think.
Cyndi
And
Lauper?
also, We Are the World has a lot of musicians in that
Yes. Ah, so
composition.
you sang the part where Cyndi Lauper sings.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to sing everything, but of course, only this much was allowed.
Yeah, I know that. I think anyone who's been a part of any We Are the World performance.
But yeah, he must have spent like 30 to 40 hours with us just to perform one song for all the students. And then that was the first time for me to music is not to judge or to be judged. Music is a tool to express myself, and we need practice to do that. So he let us practice. It was beautiful. So I chose this song, and yeah, I hope everyone likes this song because I like it.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I remember when I was a part of a choir and we had to sing, and they gave me this part to sing what, the open your heart. Da-da-da-da-da-da-day. That's all I had
Yeah.
to sing. And then I go back, and the next person comes and sings it because everybody must get the platform. Um, Chia, I think we've spoken for a long time, and there's still so many things I want to ask you. But there's something particularly that in this morning when I was just going over the playlist, something surprisingly that worked for me in the playlist um, were the seventh and the eighth tune called the album Leaf, Window and Today. I think the album's called In a Safe Place. Um, when you were about 17 or 18 years old, you were in the hospital for an entire year. You were battling an illness, and yesterday you had mentioned that these two songs or this album had it was all you were listening to that year
Yes.
while you were in the hospital. And when I heard I was just listening to it, and I kind of got it. I don't have words to express it, but I got why. And it was very interesting, because it's not typical fantastic music, that great music. Oh, the 7/8, the guy came on the 3.5th on the major minor 7/8 94, whatever. It is just, there are moments where it's just sound. That's all. It's just sound, and that's the expression. So, what was that year like for you? How, I mean, I remember falling sick for a month and a half, and I remember not being able to get out of bed for a month and a half. That's, it's not easy. And you were in the hospital for a year and at the age of 17. What was that like?
Yeah. I I was not able to understand why this happened to me, first of all. Why I had to be in a hospital. Because that time I finished my high school music activity. So I was preparing for the final exam on the 12th standard. And if that exam, if I can get the high score, I can go to good university. And then this happened. So I needed some space to be in a box that nobody will disturb me. I am
Right.
safe. Like even I have disease which I can't control, but I needed some space. Even disease cannot disturb. So I instantly got some space when I listened album Leaf. So very interestingly, because I used to listen this song every night in hospital. I after I came to India, every night I listened this song and then I slept. I did it almost for like 2-3 years. Every day I listen this song before sleep. So it's like medicine for me. Best medicine.
I might start doing it. I have massive sleep problems, so I might start doing it like totally, and I can. It made sense to me. So thank you for the playlist. Jay, I'm going to ask you one or two more things just to wrap it up. One is I'd like you to let everyone know what you're up to these days, and by these days I mean since like past few years until today, and what you're looking forward to. And then
Okay.
I want you to also finish with just talking about your message on education, because I think that's the most interesting and the most important thing that, as an Indian national, I I feel very concerned about talking about education. So these two things, uh, I'm going to just ask you and let you speak.
Okay. So 2011, just before I decided to come to India, I had experienced tsunami in Japan, and that was the nearly death experience. I was working some temporary job in the building, middle of the building, and then I saw for the first time building was shaking like this in front of me, and laws were cracking like this. So that moment, I felt uh, life can katam anytime. So katam means like life can finish anytime. Then I came to India. I was working. I liked my job, but besides that, I was always seeking the space to make myself more happy. That was again music. So then that's the moment I met. I joined Chizai. So Chizai is a uh, English band based in Delhi, and they have been performing since 2012. I joined around 2015, and since till today, we've been performing together, and they are my family. Chida is definitely my family, because their thoughts and belief are very similar to my thoughts and belief. And they met Maestro Takahashi also. That was
Right.
very
They've been to
special.
Japan. The band has
Yeah,
been to
they went to
Japan.
Japan. We
Also,
did
by
a
the way,
Japan
guys,
show.
Chizai, the name doesn't have anything to do with Chie's name. Chizai was called Chizai before Chie joined Chizai,
Yeah.
because that's something a lot of people ask. But now that I know, sorry, go on.
So um, I will be a part of Chizai till I die. I'm very happy about it. I Because it's my family. I can't leave. I don't want to leave. And besides that, I'm a part of a band called Be Right Back. So that Blue Note Music School, all the alumni from that same batch, Uh, oh, Natalie didn't know that Chizai doesn't relate to my name. Oh,
Yeah, a lot of people
sorry.
don't know that.
Lots of people didn't.
Everyone
Okay.
kind of thinks like, yeah, Chizai is because Chie is in it. Sorry.
By the way, yeah. So, I have a show with Be Right Back tomorrow. After 2 years, we are going to be on the stage. So how we made this band is everybody is from same school, Blue Note Music School, and we were in the same batch. We did that Che was always punctual, coming with homework and very scary. Do this, do this, do this, do this. I made a schedule for everyone.
Chie
But
cannot possibly be
my friend,
scary.
who is actually my band members, current band members in Beirut Park, they taught me I should be proud of myself that I love music. So I am very happy that I play music with Be Right Back. We have a show tomorrow, and I think these two like currently going on, and of course, Bollyjazz. I
Yeah,
met
some band called Bollyjazz. It's okay. Let's not talk about
Nikhil.
that.
So Nikhil is a band master of Bollyjazz, and I am very happy to be a part of journey of Bollyjazz.
Thank you, Chie.
Yeah.
Thank you for plugging us in, bro. Okay, Chie, before we lose interest of the people, I want them to get a little lecture from you on education,
Oh yeah.
about
So
why education is what it means to you and what it can mean for the less informed.
yes. So as we've been talking, there are brilliant musicians in India, brilliant musician in Japan, and how we decide if they are brilliant or not if we don't have a platform to express, to play, and exchange the ideas. So I want to start sharing my knowledge with Mr. Takahashi, help from Japan, and then I want to make some platform to run brass sections, and then I want to make a play like musical type, like Broadway musical, but it's more into music and emotions. That will be the hope for next generations that I want to create. So that is my strengths too. So I want to utilize this, my skill.
And I hope that happens. And I almost want to make sure that it happens. I'm going to put in my word with Mr. Karan Kabir Khosla to make sure that this happens. Because something that I think both of us are very glad about is Goa Jazz Academy. Because last year we moved to Mexico, Natalie and I, and then I've been meeting lots and lots of fantastic musicians in the city that I am in, called Jalapa. It's a very small city in comparison with the other cities in Mexico. And one jazz school, there is this, I mean, it already has a university here, which has contributed. That university is the reason why we have Natali. And but then there was this one guy who opened a jazz school, and they've been churning out musicians annually, and they are so good. But I can understand when you talk about a platform or the need of institutionalizing and having a space to really make that connection and to be able to um, educate the upcoming musicians so that
Yeah,
we are ready for the world. Because like GA is in India, A lot of us are going to be traveling the world also. So we all need a language to communicate. And music is it. And I hope you all go and enjoy the playlist because I thoroughly am. It will reveal a lot of things about Chie and a lot of things about the culture that she's from. If you have any questions, they can always, Chie is very approachable, right? They can always get in touch with you for any questions. Just don't bother her way too much because I am her bodyguard. All right, so before it gets way too much, a lot of people stuck around and they wanted to listen to you. If you just want to say anything right at the end to everyone before I press the cross button, your
Yeah,
saludos or your.
I kept reading all the comments, and thank you so much, Kalan, for giving me this opportunity, and Srinas to organize, and thank you for Sartak from Be Right Back. We'll have a great show tomorrow, and thank you for Anshika and everyone, Natalie, and people from Japan. I can see lots of people join from Japan. I've not been. I didn't come back Japan for 2 years because of COVID. So I miss my family, but I do have family in India. So let's make my dream happen so that India and Japan, all the kids can exchange through music, can exchange their ideas and experience. I will be conducting that. You guys all, please help me to make it happen.
We will, for sure. It's more than just a good cause. Thank you, Chie, for your time. Thank you, Goa Jazz Academy. Um, and we look forward to these sessions again. And thank you, Chie. And anyone who wants to listen to her can go to the Piano Man Gurugram tomorrow, right?
Yes.
All right. And great. She's very active on Instagram, and you can easily look her up. And all the stuff will be mentioned in the bio and all of that. All right, Chie. I shall speak with you soon. Thank you guys for giving us 1 hour to talk.
Nikhil, I want to say something to you also.
Uh-oh, you can say that to me privately if it's going to be something embarrassing.
So make it in short. Thank you so much for spending time last night to understand about my life. I actually could sleep really well last night after I talked to you. So this session actually was good to me to know about myself, and it didn't happen if it was not you. So
Of course, Jay. I am going to give up being a musician. I'm going to take up a job as being a counselor to all the other musicians. So the poor musicians have to pay more. Okay.
yes, that's Nikhil Mawkin. Yes. Thank you.
Ciao, Jay. Adios.
Ciao.
Bye.
Adios. Hasta luego.